actually started really spiraling in terms of my mental health. Thought that I was extremely depressed because I stopped having interest in anything, especially like sex. Yeah. I definitely didn't want to have sex. I would like avoid it at all costs. I would change another room so that he wouldn't get any ideas. Like, it was really bad. Did not have any interest. Then also I stopped becoming interested in even going on dates. I don't know. It was really tough. And so I started seeing a therapist. What made this even harder was my brother asked him to be in his wedding before I was asked to be in.
Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen. I am so excited. You know, this has been years in the making. Today we have a special guest, not only a friend. We're going to take a wild turn today and dive into some stuff that we've gotten feedback from, and it's in relationships, not only business, right? Now, what is the social seller? It goes way beyond selling and being a salesperson. It's about living the highest quality life, right? Now, in sales, whether you're in it or not, we're selling ourselves every single day, right? We want that promotion. We want a job. We want to convince that guy or girl to go on a date with us, right? It also comes to the quality of our relationships in life, right? Brother, sister, to maybe someone you're attracted to, and the relationships in business. So today we're going to really dive in deep, and I'm excited because not only have I known Steph for, I'd say a
5
year.
months?
Oh, you haven't
6
been here a
months?
year. You've been here how long?
About 6-7 months.
Okay, we met within the first month, I feel like.
Yeah,
if you're here.
yeah.
So I'm excited. Steph is 25 years old, grew up in the Midwest, Madison, Wisconsin. I have a couple close friends that grew up in Madison, which is so cool because something magical comes. You're in finance, investments, in banking, and risk management and insurance. You double majored. First off, I had to ask her 3 separate times the meaning of all 3 because I couldn't write fast enough. You were named San Diego's handstand queen, and you are the host of the Plan D podcast, and you are also a data scientist. Yeah. You are ridiculously smart, and you know things that I have it's just not in the realm of understanding yet, so I'm excited to dive in. And Steph, you were born in Madison. What brought you to San Diego?
Oof, now that's a loaded question. Kind of like a loaded potato, but I can't eat them because I can't eat dairy, even though I'm from Wisconsin. How about that? So I actually wanted to move to New York City, and that was the plan. That was the goal. New York has my heart, as always. Like, it's the best city in the world. I will argue with anyone. But COVID hit, and I realized that the city I loved was no longer the city that I loved, and so I applied to one job out here. My background's in finance, so this job was a data science job, and I was so underqualified. It was disgusting how underqualified I was. But I somehow made it through interviews and got this one job offer, and I was like, maybe this is a sign. Like, I only applied to one job here, and I've never really been here, so my parents were like, you're a Cali girl. You love the ocean. You love the sun. I had never really been to Cali. So
wait, why did your parents, did they want you out of the house?
Probably.
Right? It's like, you're a Cali girl. Just
you're an Idaho girl. Get that job in Idaho. No, I'm kidding. But they, I think they really just know that the warm weather brings me so much happiness, and I get seasonal depression. So they're like, you need to get out there, get that sunshine. It's the most beautiful city in the world. So yeah, I decided to just take a chance on myself, get on a plane. I shipped my car. I signed a lease over the internet. I'd never seen the building, and I moved across the country by myself.
Damn.
So yeah, it was a big move.
So mad props, because where we grew up in the country, it's not that common, right? It does happen, and you and me can probably name off a few other people, like on 1 or 2 hands max, no more than 2 hands.
Right.
Right. But with those people, usually, I'm starting to realize, living in San Diego now 2.5 years, a lot of people, not just from the Midwest, East Coast, I'm meeting people all over that are coming out here almost for the same reason. Like, something about, this is a generalization, but it's like something inside them is like pulling them towards something. There's something more maybe to experience in life, and I feel like maybe at this time in life, it might be right. And
it might be the time.
We're going to just dive in, because I remember in our first conversation, it was, so why'd you make the move, right?
Yeah.
A fellow Midwesterner that grew up in
the middle of nowhere.
The middle of nowhere, yeah. I was going to say Bumfuck, but yeah, exactly. And regardless of where you're at in the country, there's a lot of rural America, and I think that's where we can potentially represent how you can think different and maybe live the life you think you could, but you don't know how yet, right?
Yeah, especially when everyone around you is living a different life, and they are all kind of sticking to more of a standard and tradition, and then you being the black sheep of your family and thinking, maybe I should try something completely different, even if people think I'm crazy. I think that's really important to follow that gut instinct.
Would you say that you're the black sheep? Because
Oh, yeah.
I'm the gray sheep, right?
Ooh.
Because like I see
Never
you.
heard of that.
Well, if there's white hat hackers.
So are you
black
kind
hat,
of
and then
like
there's
in
gray
the
hat
middle?
kinda in
Like
the
you
middle?
have a little bit more of a black sheep sibling?
I made the loaded statement of saying I was the black sheep at one point, and you and me both talk about how important self-talk is.
Yeah.
And I realized that it almost like separates me in this way that I don't know, it feels a lot more comfortable because I have a good relationship with all of my family.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I think vastly different, I got away, and I almost think that's what a black sheep is. Sometimes.
Right.
I could just have the wrong definition, right?
Right.
So I'm saying the gray in the sense of when my family and friends might watch or they support us, right? I don't want them to say like, oh, I was different because maybe it's not that we're different. We think different and we're willing to take action.
Doesn't mean better or worse. It just means different.
Yeah.
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 I agree.
So we're going to hop in because you moved out here getting out of a relationship that you were in for some time. And can you just talk about, first off, whatever you're willing to share.
Yeah.
And luckily on this podcast, like yourself, right? It's all about transparency and as comfortable as you're willing to go. And I know you're very transparent.
Like literally all the way.
Yeah. So how did you get into this relationship? Just kind of condense like what happened and how long the relationship was and like why this kind of really encouraged you to move out here.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot of people could feel like, damn, everything's going wrong in life. And you saw it as like, oh shit, this is my opportunity.
Right. And don't get me wrong. I was one of those people that was kind of victimizing myself and feeling like this is my future. This is where I'm going to be, I guess. Like, this is what I'm looking for, I guess. And notice how I keep saying I guess because it wasn't really what I wanted, but I had to switch that thinking. So I met this person my freshman year of college, and he was perfect on paper, Division I athlete, engineering major, 4.0, parents still together, so he had a very close family, and definitely someone that I would see as a great partner someday, and I would go as far to say, like, maybe the father of my children. So perfect on paper. We spent all of college together. We both, since I double majored, I took 4.5 years. He took 5 with engineering and football. So we spent about 5 years together. And near the end of the 5 years, I mean, obviously through that amount of time, I grew as a person and I changed a lot of views on things. I changed a lot of ideas about where I saw myself in the future and where I wanted to be and if I wanted to move. And I had these feelings kind of start infiltrating, and they were like, maybe I want to be single, maybe I want to be alone, maybe I want to try, exploring so many different things about myself that I haven't explored yet because I was almost just too comfortable with this person. And I felt like we didn't really branch out. We just knew what we knew. And he would come over to my house. We lived in the country on like 300 acres. He would come hunting. He would go with my family. And it was becoming just like, that's going to be my future. They were looking at land next door to my parents. And I was like...
How old are you at this point? Just to give us context. Like
I was
at this point
21.
And they're talking about like...
When the talk about buying land.
We're going to build right next to mom and dad. Like,
no,
this is like you're solidified.
That was his dream.
I feel that.
Build
that scares
right,
the shit out of
me.
me.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Like
I need worse than a cell phone contract. 2
years,
years, let alone like rest of my life.
It's worse than a rent. Like, let's
love my
get
parents.
a lease together.
Love family. Yeah.
No, I love my parents for sure. And it was more of one of those things where since I'm such a people pleaser, I was like, okay, this will make him really happy. This will make my parents really happy. They loved him. And I think that was the hardest part too when you're in a relationship with someone and you grow these foundations with that person and you become close with their family. They start becoming close with your family. And I just started feeling more and more glued together and tied to him. And when these feelings started coming about of I want to maybe break up, I was terrified. I actually started really spiraling in terms of my mental health. I thought that I was extremely depressed because I stopped having interest in anything, especially like sex. Yeah. I definitely didn't want to have sex. I would like avoid it at all costs. I would change another room so that he wouldn't, like get any ideas. Like it was really bad. Like I really did not have any interest. And then also I stopped becoming interested in even going on dates because our dates were never fun anyway. Like, we wouldn't talk, we wouldn't converse. He's not very, we just didn't connect on that level. Like, he was very high IQ, but not, the EQ wasn't
It makes sense
where
for an
I
engineer.
wanted.
Like, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna generalize, but like,
Right.
you see that high IQ,
yes.
a lot of times can.
It can
have to work
compensate
on
with
EQ.
extrovert or introversion for sure. So it was a little bit, I don't know. It was really tough. And so I started seeing a therapist for honestly like 6 months. And what made this even harder was my brother asked him to be in his wedding before I was asked to be in the wedding. So it was.
He is already a part of the family. It's not like he was
right.
getting close.
No,
like, at
so
that
he
point
was in. He was in.
Oh gosh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that part.
Yeah. So he asked to be in my brother's wedding, or my brother asked him to be in the wedding, and that was 9 months before the wedding. And this was right when I started being like, whoa, I need to like get out of this relationship. So then my brother asked him to be in the wedding, and I was like, well, there goes that plan. And so started going to therapy a lot. My therapist, I was trying to convince myself that I was just going through an extreme time in my life of anxiety and depression. And then my therapist was like, no, I think you're just with someone that you don't love and you don't want to be with. And that's okay. And there's nothing immoral about that. But when you're such a empath and a people person, you don't want to hurt someone else so badly. And that just hurts you. So I tried to convince myself for months and months until this wedding that I could just do this. Like, I can make it through the wedding, and then I'll reassess after. And about a month before the wedding, at the bachelorette party, I was like, and it was combined, which made it really hard.
It's not even that common.
No, it's absolutely not common. But my brother got married very young, and there's levels to this shit. Can I say shit?
You can say it.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
great.
Oscar, do you approve? I mean, you drop more F-bombs than
Wonderful, because
World War II.
I definitely say that. I gave up swearing for Lent, but we're gonna just hold it to just shit.
No
Shit
filter
is the
today.
only way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was planning on doing it the day after this bachelorette party, combined party. And because I just couldn't do it anymore, my therapist was like, this is affecting your life, your work, your well-being. I was so stressed out. I stopped sleeping. I would have to take lorazepam to sleep at night. Like, that's just an unhealthy time in my life to be in, and I needed to change something. So the next day, it was so horrible because we had stayed over at his parents' house that night, and he was like, oh, we're going to breakfast with my parents, and his parents literally bought me my gluten-free pancakes, and then in an hour, I was like, I'm about to break up with your son. Like, please don't kill me. And then to add another layer to this, I tore my butt cheek on the dance floor at the bachelorette party. So I woke up extremely hungover with a torn butt cheek and a broken heart and gluten-free pancakes that I wanted to throw up because his parents bought them for me. So yeah, it was a crazy time. And I eventually was able to do it that day. It was probably the most painful day in my life, physically and mentally, because my butt cheek was literally ripped in half, and I had to be on crutches the next 3 months. So yeah, that's the gist of it, Conor. And honestly, I know that sounds horrifying, but after that whole thing, I have never been happier than I've been, and even like a month after, I had never felt more peace because I knew that I did the right thing, and I felt like I did something that was so hard for me. And I know for a lot of people, they go through so much harder, but for me, that was my hell at the time. That was the hardest thing for me, and I was like, I need to give myself a pat on the back, because the amount of closeness that he was to our family, it was just, I thought it was going to be impossible, and I was like, I need to stop victimizing myself. I need to make a change if I'm unhappy. And he didn't want to move states either, and that's kind of bringing it full circle of why I also wanted to end it, because I knew in my heart that there was something bigger and better out there for me than my little town in Wisconsin. And so I ended the relationship, and I made plans to move. So that is the summarized version.
Damn. Thank you for sharing.
That was really long, and I apologize.
What are you talking about? No,
that was...
You are such a good storyteller, which leads to a great communicator, which also leads to why you have such an awesome podcast, right? You're levels ahead of us, and I'm so grateful we had met, because what most people don't know is how many questions I've asked you, and you've always been there to like give feedback, give ideas. Like,
oh, you as well.
You've given us
oh my
some
gosh.
really good direction, so I appreciate it. And How long were you together from start to end?
About 5 years.
Okay. So I was
We were
in
gonna
6
get
years.
engaged,
And I
yeah.
say this because so many of the emotions, and I see how it happened for me, but I also see it on the flip side for the ex, right?
Yeah.
And I see on both sides. And when you start to get to that aspect of like families are intertwined, right? Like it's guaranteed. Family event, family holiday, it's like, oh,
Right.
that person's
And you
like a
want
part
them
of
to
the
be
family. And you do.
close. Yeah.
And you love that. But there's something ridiculously scary
Right.
for certain types of people that know there's something really big in store for them and they're willing to potentially chase the unknown.
Right.
I think that's the foundation and formula to live a really happy life.
Right.
Because that's something you and me have. I know for a fact. Why the hell else would we move out here? You know, and the
Yeah.
whole story of like packing the car,
Yeah.
you know, just driving here, like getting
Just
your shit here,
doing
like
it.
you booking
Yeah.
your apartment without ever seeing it.
Yeah.
Not a very smart idea.
No,
right?
absolutely not. It's okay. Like if
You-
anyone
you're
wants
here.
to sleep at night, it's not a terrible apartment, but
Oh no!
don't
no.
ever do that.
Yeah, I remember when you had made some comment when the first couple times that we met that was like, yeah, I didn't, and I didn't know this, and I was like, yeah, I've never done that. So I did the
Yeah.
Airbnb thing for a month or
You're
two, and then I
super
was like,
smart. Yeah.
I don't think it's super smart. I was fortunate.
You're more methodical.
Yeah, see, I look at you and I think you are.
I'm more impulsive. Definitely.
I'm impulsive in a handful of ways, right? In ways, yeah. We won't go down that rabbit hole. I just want to unpack like the motive to move, right? Because I
Right.
think so many people, and a lot of people that I was raised with, and maybe you too, you had friends that also probably felt like they could do a little bit more in life. Not like they need to create something you don't
1000%.
know, but
Right.
like they're happy people, whether they were good athletes, they knew how to communicate, and people just loved being around them.
Right.
And you saw so much in them, yet they didn't see that in themselves.
Yes.
And I look at it in so many different ways, right? Whether it was K through 12, the people in my grade and in different grades that were really smart, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're going to kill it in life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or the people that were really good, like,
Right.
and I didn't know this at the time, but like I'll say now, like emotional intelligence. People just gravitated towards these individuals.
Right.
right?
I know exactly what you're talking
When
about.
I see these types of individuals, I'm just like, oh, you've got your life ahead of you.
Right.
You've got some cool shit going. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you finish high school, and it's very common in the Midwest and
Mm-hmm.
rural parts of the country is to like finish high school, not go to college, even though you might be one of the smartest people
Right.
in this, your grade. Like
Right.
to give context, I think there was only like 8 to 10 people from my graduating class that went to college. That actually
Wow.
started, right? Because there's more that like planned on going,
Wow.
but that like actually completed their first semester. Blew my
that's
mind.
crazy.
I was probably at if like we asked everyone that was going to college,
Yeah.
put them on a rank,
Would you be down here?
I would be at the bottom.
Really?
Right? And I finished college, and I'd like to think like I'm
That's
so
crazy.
far from success, but what I am doing is I'm creating my life, and I
Right.
see it happening, and I
Right.
can say that. I know
Right.
that my lifestyle was created because of me, and it started in college,
Yeah.
right? You have to
Yeah.
work without making money.
Yeah.
So you have to fucking know there's something bigger in this world
Yeah.
than like you.
Than just getting married at 18, which nothing wrong with, but
Yeah.
a lot of people that we expected to be in California ended up choosing a much simpler life, and nothing to say that's a bad thing, but it's not what you'd expect.
Yeah. And it just, I think part of it for me is this real fear of regret in life. And then having the context of realizing I'm in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, this is prime time, CP.
This is prime time.
Right?
We're
This
never
is
gonna be
what
this young
what
again.
do you call yourself when you're talking to yourself? Because I'm talking to myself all the time, especially in the last 9 months. And I have a good relationship with
I
myself
don't know if
now.
I call myself anything.
Oh, it's either like CP
I love
or
the
like
CP.
or I'm like, Conor, you gotta be hungry. Like every day in the
Yeah.
car, whether it's headed to the gym or door knocking or something.
love that.
It's like just yell it at the top of my lungs. I can't even imagine how many people on the freeway have seen like the vein in my throat. Like what is going on with that guy in there? Like he's yelling at someone.
I love that.
Pump ourselves up.
Yeah.
Not to go on a tangent. Now I want to get back to a couple questions. to
Can I
dive in.
actually
Oh.
just say one thing?
Yes.
So when we talked about people, not branching out and moving and creating this bigger life than what they've ever dreamed, like I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I almost kind of want to be them in a way. I don't want to be them in terms of I don't want to live in Wisconsin. I don't want to be married right now. I don't want to be settled down. I don't want to be living a simpler life, but I do respect that a lot of them are actually extremely content with that, and they're content with less, I guess. And I feel like I'm someone, there's maximizers, right? Like I feel like we're maximizers. We want the top. Like we want the best of the best. We want to be the best of the best. We want to do as much as we can in this life and live to the fullest. But some of these people are so content with so much less. And I almost respect that to like a level that I can't even explain.
You
know what I mean?
100%.
Like, I feel like I need more. I'm like desensitized to the small things and the simple things now because we are experiencing such elaborate things out in San Diego. So I'm almost desensitized to those little things that used to make me happy, like waking up to a black coffee in the morning. Like, I kind of want to make sure that I don't lose that, you know?
Yeah, I love it. Would you consider inserting instead of content happiness? Because I think it's just being happy with whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like when I lived in Asia for a year, it was like that was foundational for me
right.
to see people. I mean, the world is vastly different on the other side of the world, right?
Yeah.
Like it goes way beyond, and just being in the culture, the people, and seeing how they communicate. If we think of like the family or the person in our life that's like, oh yeah, they grew up, they've never really had a whole lot, right? Everyone has those people in their lives. Imagine like 10x less.
Right.
And then these people in Asia are 10 times happier, and I'm not exaggerating.
Because exactly.
They're centered, and I think it's happiness, right? So it's like,
I think it's fulfillment.
It's fulfillment comes with happiness, right? And I think genuine happiness breeds fulfillment, right? And that's the thing is, I think a lot of people we were raised around, like, they're just happy doing that.
Right.
Right? And that's awesome. You found happiness.
Right.
That's what you and me are trying to do.
And they needed less to get there, though. It's interesting.
That's awesome because I agree. Yeah. There's a downside, though, to our personality types and our mindset to be a maximizer because it's always wanting more. And then you see in the corporate realm, right? Like, these are the people that they chase money a lot of times. Right. I'm just going to give one example. You can chase a lot of things, right?
Yeah. That's the most common.
Money is common. Mm-hmm. Now, you do it. And I have talked to so many professionals, so many mentors, so many people that then later in life have so much regret. Yeah. Because they worked and they made money and they did well and they climbed the ladder, whatever ladder it was, right? The ladders can look vastly different colors, different lengths, different heights. All of a sudden you might get to a corporate realm. And along that path, usually I hear stories about these corporate professionals that they hit exhaustion. Yeah. Exhaustion in corporate America is fucking scary.
Oh,
this is
absolutely.
You on stage and you're a keynote speaker and you faint on stage because you haven't slept in 4 days, but this has been the last 6 years of your life because that's what the job demands. Or you're sitting in the DMV to get a new driver's license. You have heart murmurs and you faint. Like, I have heard more than 10 of these stories. And so there's this happy medium. Maximizers, yes, they work in certain places. I think in sales it works really well. Right. But you have to find balance. And so I think we are on one end of the spectrum, and then like where we were raised could be closer to the other end. And I think
1000%.
What we should all chase is something in the middle.
I agree.
You need both at times.
You always need both. I mean, the biggest challenge that we both face with our personality types is always feeling like we could be doing more. And even when that comes with self-growth and becoming closer and closer to who you want to be and things that even monetary goals, right? Like, you always feel like you can be doing more, and you feel like a day of rest is a day of missed opportunity. But
you just lost a day,
right? But it's absolutely not true, and you can't, like you said, with these examples of people fainting and getting these health implications from not taking care of themselves. Like, you can't push forward if you have nothing left in the tank. So that's our biggest challenge, I feel like, just being maximizers, and we have to be mindful of that. But finding that balance is so much easier said than done.
Right? Yeah. Have you ever heard the saying, grind in your 20s, invest in your 30s, and live it up from your 40s and beyond?
Yeah,
I feel like you and me kind of live that. Oh, I mean, it's a saying that kind of goes. It's a riddle that works,
but I
right?
don't know if I want it.
Okay,
you know?
Let's unpack it.
I don't.
You're investing in your 20s?
I am, but I also feel like this is the time when we are... I mean, we're like objectively going to be the most attractive. We'll probably be, just because we do age. That's part of life, and that's natural. We're probably the most energetic we will be, just because with time comes exhaustion.
Natural aging
and
again.
Exactly. So, I mean, I agree with that totally, because my dad raised me on those like that principle, essentially. He said, save now, play later. But I also see my dad, he worked so hard his whole life. Now he's in his 60s, and now he's finally retiring, and now he's finally doing things that he likes to do. But is
he doing it to the full capacity, though?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Because he's tired and he's old. I mean, sorry, Dad, but
my dad's,
you aren't a spring chicken.
In his 60s,
so I kind of don't know if I want to fully step into that lifestyle. I think I want to try to find the balance in both, because we aren't promised tomorrow. We aren't promised anything. So you can't live with a safety net all the time, you know?
I completely agree. And that's something I'm working on in life.
Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah. It's hard though when you're a
it's so
maximizer, because we go to extremes with everything, like even working out, and we'll get to 75 hard, I'm sure, but it's just, we want to be the best of the best, work out the hardest that we possibly can. And it's really hard to find that middle ground.
And I think part of it is like knowing that we can live this better life, and knowing what actions we have to take on a day-to-day basis to live that better life.
Right.
And then we're willing to take action for it. Now, the consequences is when you do that routine for so long, it starts to feel like, oh, it's another day.
Yeah.
So something that's helped me out, there's a couple things, and I'm curious what's helped you out, because you live, right? And I think San Diego provides that. Oscar, you'd agree too. You were born and raised here, but like for us coming here, not only is Southern California very laid back, like the most laid back for SoCal, right? And coming from the Midwest, I would say it's the easiest transition.
I would say that
right?
too. Yeah.
I mean, and people are just go with the flow kind of thing. Like
Nice.
the way people dress, it's like you can go anywhere with flip flops and shorts. Like
Yeah.
that's the creed
It's just
here.
like Madison.
Yeah. And I think I've just noticed in my life that I'll catch myself working so hard in the last 6 months of my life. Last 9 months. Literally got out of a relationship, started 75 hard, cut out substances for the second half of last year, right? It opened my eyes. It allowed me to heal, but it allowed me to learn how happy work made me feel.
Right.
And then I had this new level of fulfillment because I've never earned that much. But I was working harder than ever before, right? It wasn't just the company. It was also working on the side. Like any available hour, it was like consume. And it felt good.
Yeah.
I showed myself, oh shit, I have a lot more energy than I thought I did, right? But things had to change. And the other note I wanted to make here was when we talk about people that go into exhaustion, right? We're talking like corporate examples because I hear a lot of those. That's a lot of the times the people, prospects, and customers I'm talking to. That happens in so many different ways. And what's scary and what I know in the back of my mind is that the way I live today needs to be sustainable for my health. Now, if you faint or you have heart murmurs, and there is a list. I mean, when I'm saying fainting, these are people that are fainting in a boardroom, hitting their head on the side of a table,
So bad.
and like getting concussed, waking up. Like it's not just falls. Like it could get into like
This is
the
bad.
graphic shit. Like in the sense of
brain injuries.
that's how far you've pushed yourself.
Yeah, that's so
Now,
bad.
what I can guarantee is if you're pushing yourself to that kind of level of exhaustion, you have the balance in your life is off, right? And
There
in life,
isn't any.
Yeah,
The lack of
have you ever heard like the what do they call it? The stool of 3 legs, right? And they
Okay.
say this is the balance of life, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have balance, and like, all right, what are the 3 levels? I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like,
Yeah.
let's say physical health, mental health, we'll say spirituality,
Right.
Right? Now, you need those 3 to all be balanced for this 3-legged stool to work or to sit
Right.
on it, right?
Right.
But the second you start giving up physical health because
Yeah.
you're focused on career,
Yeah.
that stool doesn't sit right.
No.
You can fall pretty damn quick.
Yeah.
And those kind of analogies have always helped me, just
Yeah.
visuals. But what has helped you find a little bit of balance in between it? And before I hand it off, the one thing that changed was putting in my goals that I read every morning is each week experienced a new place, friend, or adventure.
That's really
So,
beautiful. Yeah.
The other thing about goals, write it in past tense. Don't write it like I want to
Oh,
things.
I
Past
like
tense, it's
that.
already happened. Right? Train your
Ah.
mind. Train your
Yeah.
mind. So experienced a new place, friend, or adventure each week. What was it this week? I got to play Torrey Pines yesterday. I've never been able to play
Scary.
like
yeah. Wait, play?
like golf.
Oh, I thought
Torrey
you meant
Pines is
like,
like a big-
hike course. I was like,
Oh
wait,
yeah,
what?
yeah. No, that's how most people know it.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, I
And I
was
haven't
like-
golfed in 9 months, so I golfed with some buddies.
wow, that's
but like that
awesome.
was a new place.
Right. Novelty
You
is
and me are
really good for the
fortunate.
brain.
We're extroverts. We're social. We're fortunate to come from the Midwest, which I think is a superpower with connecting with people.
It is.
And living out here, I think it's more of a superpower in certain ways. I want to be
Oh, it
careful with
is.
saying it, but
No, it
just
is. Everyone thinks
the
we're
way we
super
grew.
nice without even knowing that we're super nice.
I think it's what I've learned in 2.5 years is I think it goes a little further, and I think it's authenticity. And
Yeah.
what I've also learned is that people aren't quite as used to it, and so some people it can almost be like, "Is this guy
Shock.
real?" So
Yeah.
I think the only way to send that compliment and like for it to be received authentically and not be the schmoozer is they have to feel it.
yeah.
Everything about your body language needs to be congruent,
It's
right?
all
You have to
energy.
actually be coming from an authentic place in your heart.
Yeah.
And when you do that, I think people feel it.
Yeah. But
What-
we both do that. Like I
You do.
usually always come from an authentic place in my heart, or I won't say it, you know.
I don't think I've ever heard you say like anything bad about a
No.
person, and I love it. Right?
Yeah.
There's no time for it.
I
It's
love
wasted
everyone.
energy.
No, yeah, it is wasted energy. But things
has
that
helped
I
you
do to
with
be
balance?
balanced,
Yeah.
I would say I like to remind myself the same thing, that if I can't do this every day for the rest of my life, then it's not something that's sustainable. And sustainability is literally something that I preach, and especially with nutrition and just dieting and goals, like fitness goals, everything like that. Like if you can't do this the rest of your life, if this is just a season or if this is just for a vacation, like that's not going to last, and that's probably going to be harmful to you in the long run. So I try to remind myself of that. I have learned my brain, and I know that if I do anything mathematical past 5 p.m., I'm probably not going to be able to sleep that night because I'll wake up at 2 a.m. solving calculus or code equations. So it's just like learning yourself, and becoming more self-aware. I know I sound like I'm crazy, but it's true. I wake up at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, okay, proc, SQL, create a table, join, left join, whatever. So I'm psychotic that way. But I definitely learned my brain that way in college. I was like, if I'm studying past 5 p.m. and if it's a quantitative field, I'm going to be up all night. So learning those boundaries for myself, I'm like, okay, like quantitative things earlier in the day so that my mind can slowly, shut down at night. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way through lack of sleep. But just figuring out those little hacks for yourself in order to maintain your sleep, that's number one for me. Like just making sure that's good, and then everything else can come after. You can't present yourself every day and show up if you aren't getting rest. Like it's just stupid. So like working out every day, if you're not sleeping, don't even bother. So really prioritizing sleep is one thing. Making sure I'm putting good things in my body because I operate so much better. My brain functions better if I'm eating whole foods and things like that. And then also not being hard on yourself when you do want to go and have fun with friends, because community and socializing is so good for us. I would argue it's like just as good as eating a whole foods diet. Like we need community and human touch and human interaction. So I feel like trying to just have those three staples in my life, that's all I can ask for myself.
I love it. You're so disciplined.
I'm not though, but I'm not.
For anyone listening that isn't getting a visual of Steph, she could qualify as a personal trainer, an athlete,
I would do that,
professional
for sure.
athlete in a handful of ways.
Oh my God, you're so sweet.
And you are the handstand queen. Like I know.
You know what's funny though? I started that in August. So I never could do handstands like very long. I mean, I was a gymnast, but 3 seconds maybe. Like I could do it with great form, but could never have the control and the balance. And that's something that breaking up with this person taught me, moving here taught me all alone. Like I was like, I need to start trusting myself, because when I'm in a handstand and I start feeling myself waver, I'm just like, no, I trust myself. I got this. And it's analogous to everything that we just talked about with my move and everything, because if you don't trust yourself, like you're going to fall, but you have to also fall to learn how to get back up, and you have to let yourself fall so that you know how to fall.
What's one thing you regret about moving out here?
Dating. Dating sucks here.
I love it. I didn't know if you were going to say anything.
I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Dating in California is horrible.
So let's unpack.
Okay.
I hope someone understand that grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Well, if you're coming from Louisiana, that was a terrible accent. If you're a woman, don't expect men to pay for your drinks here, because they won't, because they're investing probably in their future too much. Just kidding. But I respect it. I get it. But if you're going to ask a girl on a date, you should probably pay for her shit. Or maybe not.
First off, that's
it's the 21st
wild.
century, so
like,
you know what? If you don't, if a girl
any
wants
man
to
that
pay,
did not
it's fine.
pay for your meal, like, I hope they listen to this, and I just want to check them in the casual way because I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's probably more than one.
I mean, like, so here's the situation. Like, it's not really on a one-on-one date. It'll be like maybe like a group thing, but the guy will be like, there'll just be me and one girl, and no one, like, we'll offer to like get the whole thing, and they won't hesitate. And I'm like, excuse me? So I mean, I always offer. That's one thing. Like, I don't know how you feel about the whole gender roles and paying for dates and everything. I always offer, no matter what. Like,
Let's
first
come
date,
back to
anything.
Because this has been in my mind, but I've never told anyone.
Okay, because I don't know how men feel about it, but I always get my wallet. I'm like, do you want to split this? Do you want me to grab it? I'm not gonna lie. I'm more traditional, so I'm hoping that they're gonna be like, no, of course not. But third, maybe fifth date, like, if they let me split it, okay, great. Like, I get that. I don't expect a man to pay for everything. Of course not. But first date, if I offer and he's just like, yeah, you got it. Like, I don't know. The men here are just very concerned with their own they're very self-centered. Not all of them. I don't want to make a generalization, but from what I've seen, dating here is so different in the fact that the men in the Midwest want to get to know you. They act like they're 35. They don't give a shit about their social media. They aren't thinking about posting their dinner before talking to you at the dinner. And here it's a little bit opposite.
So is that California's problem though? Or is that just us and where we were raised? And like coming out here and this is a different environment, right? So I'm playing devil's advocate because I have to think like this too, right?
No,
like,
I love flipping the coin.
We can't expect that we grew up in a certain environment that the rest of the world's going to be the same.
But
I do agree. And there's so many aspects of this and theories that I have that aren't proven.
Okay.
On the guy's end, right? Mm-hmm. First off, I think a gentleman, first date, anything one-on-one, you should always cover the bill.
Right.
Other part of this is after the first bill, there's like something, I agree. I don't want to say self-centered, but people out here, all right, we're going to rewind one step because I have to give context. Why do people come to San Diego? Why do people move to LA? It's living a better life. It's becoming something, right? So what do those people usually have? What are those personality types usually like? They're driven. They're confident people, right?
And you kind of have to be self-centered. You kind of have to.
You have to have a level of selfishness that to the outside I think could look self-centered. But you and me both have a degree of selfishness, right? Anyone that is on the track to live the best life has to be.
Yes, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I just try to remind myself, because I experienced the same with women, and there's a transition. I found a groove. There's a groove to it.
Okay.
And an understanding, I'm saying. Like, groove and I had to think different. For the first bit, it was like, oh, gosh.
Yeah.
It's shallow out here.
Oh,
it is really
baby, it's shallow.
It is shallow. I remember.
Their phone eats first before you get a
Oh, yeah. I've
hello.
gotten used to that.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first few events I came to when I was only living here for like a month or two, maybe 3 months. No, we'll say in the first 6 months, first 3 events. And I had men and women, separate occasions, ask me as like an intro question, what car do you drive? Or how much do you make a year? Or what was the other one? What do your parents do? No, not a date, just any kind of conversation. What do your parents do? Like this is one of the first or second questions.
Yeah.
And to me, where I come from, that's just like, whoa.
No, we
because
don't
that shows
talk
me
about
immediately
that.
what you value, and immediately I'm like, watch me distance myself from you. That hasn't happened as much, mainly because now I understand, I kind of see how circles work out here. Mm-hmm. And I realize people are a little different out here, but I love it. The same reason you and me are out here.
I'm still here, so clearly
exactly.
I'm not totally turned off by it. But I will say, like, I have my best friend here. She grew up in California, and she has said to me every day, basically, like, I'm not going to find my husband here. I've known that my whole life. I'm not going to find my husband here because she wants someone that's just a little bit more rugged and a little bit more like, what's the word? Traditional in a sense, like that will open the car door for her. And just men out here are just very into their own world. And I agree that, like, honestly, it's not just men. It's people that want to become something, and they're used to that hustle and like focusing on the end goal and like what they really want in life. So I'm not saying that any of that is wrong. I'm just saying, like, in terms of dating and what I'm used to, it's been kind of a shock. Like, it's a shell shock moving here and dating. I'm used to, maybe it's a me problem. I'm used to being the center of attention on a date, and you aren't. Like, it's about kind of what can we benefit each other with, and like their Instagrams, and it's just different. It's just different.
Steph, I don't want to speak beyond what I should.
I feel like
just
you
getting
should.
to know you. I think there's some kind of gap in how you communicate that isn't received well out here, because you coming from the Midwest, and I just think you and me originally met on Hinge, right? That was like in the first month of you moving here. We met 6 months ago. And I get it. You and me have always been friends. Right? And I'm just, because I've listened to some of your podcasts too. So that's where some of it's coming from. If you haven't, definitely listen to the Plan D podcast.
Oh my gosh.
I have never had, I love listening to it. It's so entertaining. It's
well,
like every guy needs to be
everything.
listening to it. Yeah, it's just so transparent.
I share
it's
every
how women
experience
think.
I have. I would never call someone out, but I'm so open about my experiences here with dating and like the crazy stuff that happens.
I mean,
but continue.
You're getting
I'm sorry.
a mild taste. Yeah, no, I think that it's just not received well. I think there's and it happened to me too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's been a transition. I've gone through 2 different phases in the 2.5 years living here that I didn't really like living here. right? One of them was like after the breakup, and I was like, like, you know what? Like, I can afford to live in like
Austin,
two other
Texas,
cities.
and
Not a huge fan of Austin. I
Yeah.
mean, immediately I think Miami, right?
Oh, yeah, I love Miami.
Love
Yeah.
Miami. And we'll see where the end of the year goes, but I
Yeah.
might test it out. And especially
Yeah.
with the way taxes work in the state of California, it's actually
Don't even get me started.
terrible.
The taxes and the
Yeah,
men.
coming
No,
to
I'm
you.
kidding.
Taxes and men.
The taxes
They
and
actually
men
go
in
in the same
California.
category.
No, seriously, they do. They should have a tax on men.
You shouldn't like.
No, I
California
call
men.
this the mandemic because the only way to meet people right now is kind of like dating apps just because of, the shutdowns and everything. And it's just been a time. So it's the mandemic.
Why are you so open and confident to be able to transparently talk about your experiences with men? Like, obviously, there's a level of confidence.
Yeah.
But, like, why are you so open to talking about it? And I know this is why your podcast is blowing up. Like, what do you think separates you?
I think my thing is everyone goes through these situations in life. And it's not even just with men. It's with themselves and like self-discovery and all these like really awkward times where we're figuring our shit out and figuring out who we want to be. And even if it comes at the cost of my embarrassment, like I love sharing these stories because other people will DM me and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much I relate to this. Thank you so much. Like I thought I was the only one. And it's especially I did a podcast on how to break up with someone when nothing's wrong, because that's the hardest relationship to leave. And the amount of messages I got from that, and like people that I actually had someone message me yesterday that followed up with me and they said they finally did it. And it was that
Props.
podcast that helped them. And so I think at the cost of my embarrassment, I'm so okay with that if I know that I'm helping someone else. And I think sharing my stories and being vulnerable, it just makes people feel less alone. And that's totally cool with me. Like, I want to
Amen.
do that for the rest of my life.
Because it's not about you.
No, it's not about
It's
me.
not about you.
I could care less. Like, if
Right.
I'm a little embarrassed, who cares?
Isn't it incredibly empowering when you're at least confident enough to put it out? Because it's
Yeah.
scary to start your first podcast and like
Oh my gosh,
to
it's
drop
so
it and it's like,
vulnerable.
I don't even want to share it with people because
I
it's like, I know it can
know.
be better. I don't like, I said 3 times in the
Oh,
intro.
I know.
You know, like little dumb shit.
And people don't care.
And the second you get feedback, that's like, whoa, this happened.
Positive,
right?
yeah.
And someone was going to physically hurt themselves
Right.
after the 3rd episode, and they watched it.
Yeah.
Happened to someone that I don't
That's
know.
crazy.
And like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. I don't think when we're having these conversations, it's going to impact someone like that, but it does. And
Yeah.
the difference is being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You can only be vulnerable and talk about it openly, in my opinion, if you're confident in yourself.
Yeah. And one of my favorite quotes that someone actually told me last week, this doctor at Harvard, she's the one that wrote it, but it's essentially the price of admission to a meaningful life is discomfort. And that's kind of how I look at my podcast. Like, yeah, I'm sometimes especially when I started it, it was uncomfortable and I felt discomfort sharing something so personal, but I feel more fulfillment than I ever have because people have reached out to me and said that it impacted their life in a positive way. So discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. Like, I absolutely love that quote and I want to live by that.
Where do you want the Plan D podcast to go? What's the mission behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I started it because a podcast gave me the confidence to leave a relationship. And so just helping other people leave shitty relationships where they feel lukewarm, or having people open up to other people about their mental health issues. Like, I'm big in mental health in that space too, so I talk about that a lot on my podcast. And I think as long as I can just grow it enough to touch more lives, like, that's the goal. And I don't really have any concrete goals in terms of, I want to make this much money. It's more of, this is what I'm passionate about. I want to help other people. And if money comes, it comes. So I haven't really been strategic in any other way besides that and following that goal.
Amen. I think that's part of like why it's sustainable. Again,
Yeah.
you're like 40 plus episodes in to
Yeah.
yours. We're 6 or 7 episodes in.
But that's
And
so good. You've
it's got to
been
be sustainable.
consistent.
It's
Yeah.
got to be consistent,
Yeah.
right? And to do that, in my opinion, I'm starting to realize is like, I can't look at it like a job. And so
Right.
the second I start to think about it like that, like if it's kind of malleable and kind of like still grassroots.
And if it's a have to, I have to
have.
record.
Oh, have
I
to.
have to edit. Like, it shouldn't be that. It should be, I get to, I want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And just with the hope that you can impact some lives.
Exactly.
Because it's not, if you never get into podcasting to make money. If you
No.
do, I think you can guarantee that
You're
your
foolish.
podcast is not going to do very
Exactly.
well.
That can never be the main reason.
It's felt, right?
No, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
As with
Authenticity is
anything,
felt.
especially in the social media space, your goal has to be larger than money, and it has to be larger than profit. It has to be, what's my mission, and like, how do I want to impact as many people as I can? That's the only way to turn numbers into dollar signs. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to the relationships,
Yeah.
because you have so much experience, and you've had so many guests, professionals. You've
Yeah.
had celebrities, so many celebrities on your shows.
Yeah.
So cool. We're not there yet. But what would you just say from everyone you've talked to and just your personal life stuff, being a young, smart, great-looking female living in San Diego, what is the number one mistake that men make when they think they like a female or they want to date, whether it's out here or just in general?
So glad you asked this question, and I didn't even have to think about this answer. This is something that's been at top of mind lately, and it's men and women. So not just, but since I date men, like, I'm going to speak to men. They come into this thinking off the bat, like, oh my God, I really like her. And it can be 1 or 2 dates, right? And let's be real, I'm looking my best on those dates. I'm doing my hair, I'm doing my makeup, I'm presenting myself and selling myself, if you will. Like, I'm selling myself. I'm basically in a sales position to look the best
seller.
and be the best that I possibly can on these dates, right? And when they tell me that they have feelings for me, I'm like, you don't know me at all. You have seen the best version of me. You have not seen the times when I'm in my apartment and I feel isolated and anxious as hell and calling my parents, like, what am I doing out here? I'm so isolated. The COVID shutdown is like impacting my mental health like crazy. They're not seeing that part of Steph. They're not seeing when I wake up at 3 a.m. doing calculus in my head. Like, they're falling in love with this idea of me and not who I am. And so what I've been struggling with is that initial dating phase where it's almost just all lust, but they don't realize that it is. And the way that I'm approaching dating now, after doing this for a few months, like, I've decided that I just want to be friends with people first. Like, I want them to get to know me without makeup or without being my best every day and, you know, seeing me cry sometimes because I'm not perfect. And if we end up falling in love and if something happens there, then it happened because of a genuine connection, and it didn't happen because of me selling myself at my best day and my best level. Like, that's not sustainable. And that just goes back to sustainability, because at the end of the day, when we're married and I'm old and ugly, like, you better love my soul before you love anything else. And so that, I think, is the biggest mistake that I see. Like, you just don't know me.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I love that you share that. I think it's humanizing, and we forget to think like that. And out here, it's even bigger because there's social media and these online personas.
Highlight reels.
And we're both guilty of it.
Totally.
Oscar, you are too.
Everyone is.
Don't nod your head. You're guilty too. No, I'm kidding. We all are. And it's the degree, right? Because it's a tool. Like, it works. You get visibility and you can build your authority and your personal brand.
You need it nowadays if you want to become an entrepreneur. I would argue that you do need it.
People don't use business cards out here. It's what's your handle.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's what's your
No,
Insta.
it
Regardless
literally
of
is.
like what
You're known
app's
as your
blowing
Instagram
up,
handle. Like, if you were at CP Daily, like, everyone's gonna call you CP Daily. They're not gonna say Conor.
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
up?
I changed my handle because of that. So many people would literally go like, all right, let's say your handle is like Steph23. Like, for whatever reason, your new last name is 23.
Oh, did you invite Steph23? Like, did you forget to text her? Yeah.
I hear this everywhere too.
Yeah, you're a handle here.
Me.
You're a handle.
And oh god.
Yeah, no, you
There's
are.
so many levels to it. It's artificial from the start, and then it breeds more artificial relationships and communication.
And that's exactly it. Is I think the reason that people break up so much now and get divorced is, like, we are falling in love with something that appears close to perfect, and we're not seeing these things that later on are going to disappoint us. Like, if you don't know someone and their flaws, and then you get in this relationship and then they start showing those flaws because they're more comfortable with you, that's why, like, we start feeling kind of like, do I really want to be in this? And instead of being friends first, seeing the whole flaw thing early on, and then if you end up falling in love with that person for those flaws, like,
you have someone you can be with.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's wild is that growing up, I never thought I was a relationship person, ever.
Yeah, me
I
either.
had the vision.
Oh, same.
I was going to be a commercial pilot as a kid. This was my fascination. Anyone in my family knew this. From like 6th grade on, I was like, I'm going to be a commercial pilot. I remember going on a commercial flight in like 1st, 2nd, or 3rd grade or something. And I came back, I was like, that is the life for me. And I had this vision.
Yeah.
And as I got a little older, it turned into, all right, I'm going to be a commercial pilot. I didn't want to take the military route. It was just intimidating. And I was like, I don't need to sign my name away.
Like, I don't want to do push-ups and pull-ups every day. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And I was like,
really fit,
I will go the alternative route, right?
Yeah.
And so what that meant was you're going to pay a lot of money, flight schools. But this vision was young bachelor Conor traveling the world, meeting women, right? This was, and I'm freely sharing this because I can laugh about it now. Right. And that formed and shaped my life in a lot of ways. And luckily I'm kind of past that. But it put me in a position that I didn't, because I was chasing the artificial, it put me in a place that like reality almost had to hit me in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like, I chased this.
Yeah.
And then it led me to like, I mean, I don't regret anything. I'm glad it happened because in whatever way I can't even understand today, it made me who I am.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring up a good point. Okay. In my relationships, I used to have this thing through college. I would meet women and we could date for like 9 to 12 months. But there was this thing that like, I think I had like 2, 3, 4 relationships from like the end of high school through college. And they were always like 9 to 12 months. And so I started to tell myself, like there's, you can date Conor, but it's for whatever reason, something goes wrong in 9 to 12 months. And at this point in my life, I usually put the blame on someone else.
Maybe because you knew you didn't want to settle down yet.
That's always been me. And that's the reality of like what I've realized. And now going on the point that you have to be friends, and this is foundational. And I just want everyone to hear it because it's so cool for you to say this. Getting out of a 5.5-year relationship 9 months ago, going into college, I was able to manage a bar. It was the #1 party school. Like all of this shit, you had the social life. Because I worked at a certain place, like you had a little bit extra social life. And then I was in an honors fraternity purposely just because I wanted to try to penetrate any network. I didn't want to do the traditional because I was scared to get hazed. Didn't want to. All my buddies were in it. The only reason the ex and I dated was because it was literally like friends with benefits for like 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
But there were so many things that happened in between that, right?
Yeah.
Like it started as just hookups.
Yeah.
Right? Literally hookups. I would text, getting off work, cleaning the bar, and it's
my God.
on the spot, right? Yeah. And the convenience was cool, but that almost gave me power. So it was like, I don't want a relationship with someone like
power
like that
trip.
I can like at any moment.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this rings true for others, but it's like then after a few months, then it kind of got, I don't want to say, it wasn't bland, but there was other factors involved, right? A person in her life prior that was getting involved. I'm a zero drama mama. Like, drama comes up, watch me get away. Because it's just, I don't reason with people that literally can't control their emotions.
No,
like, and that kills me in relationships sometimes.
Please.
Like, legit, like, let's talk. Let's
seriously.
talk.
So
I
easy.
understand. Hey, and this is a loaded question because masculine and feminine energy are vastly different. And feminine energy, like, that's the natural.
We are more emotional.
If you are the man of men, you give more love in those moments. And that's what I'm learning now. I didn't know this in the relationship. What I'm getting at is it was like 3 to 6 months or 3 months of like this friends with benefits, just hooking up. It was sick. Nothing like,
it's so much
nothing
easier.
Serious, right? And that was almost why it was just cool to hang out. It was like almost a secret. That made it a little better.
Yeah.
And then the drama came up immediately. I'm just like, I blocked everything. And I was just like, literally that's my shutdown system. But it works well for me. Like it's a filter. This person's out of my life. I don't have them coming back in.
No, me too.
I don't have triggers coming back where these loops can start.
Yeah.
And then we fast forward like, I don't know, 3 to 5 months. And all of a sudden we see each other again. And we start hanging out just casually. And then this is probably 6 to 9 months after like we had originally met and started doing our little like hookup thing. And it's wild because I look back and I go from Conor in 4 relationships of 9 to 12 months to a relationship that went 5.5 years. We traveled the world a couple times. We did wild shit. We were both from the Midwest, rural parts of the country where it was like cool because we were heavily intertwined in each other's families, right?
Yeah.
Just being together that long. But it was cool because not many people from rural ass, Farmville are willing to live that kind of life. And I think that's what excited me. And so I look back and I go, damn, I think for me, my current belief is I need to be friends with these people. And so what's challenging now is over the last 3 months, my life has been incredible. Something weird happened. With all the work I did out of the relationship, it felt like I thought this shit should have happened 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But now it's just starting. In the last 2 months, I feel like it's effortless. Like somehow I'm attracting the right people and the right opportunities, girls way out of my league.
That's
like,
because you put in all the work on yourself and now it's paying off. You know what I mean? Like you took time to yourself and you did so many things to develop yourself. And now you're going to attract better people. Like
that's exactly where I was going. And that's the shit that I don't know why I didn't. I've read the books and you have too. And they say that to
just
attract the better, like if you want to attract the best version, the most beautiful human inside looks, there needs to be a physical attraction, right?
Yeah.
But god damn, you have to become that version.
Yeah.
Like, even if you attract that person into your life and you're putting on the fugazi, right?
Yeah.
Like Wolf of Wall Street, it's like that's it's not sustainable. They're gonna see the real you. And so what's cool about being a friend is you see that real person in the day to day. And it's like you don't look at it like, oh, they do that, oh, they do this, because it's just a friend.
I think too we see ourselves in other people. So when we are attracting these people that aren't really bringing us up, like it might be because we aren't developed to who we want to be yet. And so we're seeing parts of ourselves in these people and we're attracting that. And when you do become the full version of yourself, or I mean, not full because you're always working towards something better, but like when you really do the work and you progress, like you're seeing better in other people, like you're seeing yourself in other people, and that version of you is so much better than it was before. So like you're going to attract better people. You know what I mean?
And it gets to the point that it's legitimately effortless.
Yeah.
But like what most people don't see is all the fucking work that goes on behind the scenes.
Oh, it's so much
and
work.
no one sees it, and that's fine. I now like that. Right?
No, that's
there
amazing.
There used to be a version
then
of
you
me
just
that was like,
show
you
up.
have to show it off.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
When you stop showing it off, and like I don't even share my goals freely like I used to, and
Yeah.
the fact that I don't, they come true so much faster.
Oh,
Like they just come into fruition.
Yeah.
Right? Wild shit.
I agree.
Yeah. So the takeaway, I think we're both on the same page that it
Yeah.
legitimately just has to start as friends. Like it could be friends
yeah.
with benefits, it could be friends, it could be casual acquaintances.
But just don't put the pressure on it to be
Don't
something
label
more.
it, don't title it,
Never
because the
do
second
that.
you do it, fucks it up for both.
It does. And like I think we're all too in this anxious period in our lives, and like with everything going on around us, like all the external stressors, when you put any pressure on another person to be your person, the chances of that failing are so high.
Yeah.
Because life doesn't work as we expect. I mean, look at us. We're over a year into a worldwide pandemic where none of us can leave our houses anymore without wearing something on our face. Like
Texas.
Besides Texas,
Yeah.
Shout out Texas. Like, good for you. But I mean, it's just, we can't predict that. And so to put any kind of pressure in someone being your person, it's likely going to fail. Like you have to be your person. You have to be that person you want to see in someone else in order to attract that and eventually meet that person. Not get that person.
Get that person.
Get
Attract
that
that
person.
Big ass human
Go
magnet
get
of beautiful
it.
people. And
Yeah.
it's like when you live that life, it's
Yeah.
literally like you just turn into this huge magnet.
Exactly.
And it's like opportunities and people. Like it's not just your
Yeah, it's like
the
quantum
ideal
physics,
mate.
literally, though.
Yeah, it's like
science.
opportunities. It's business opportunities.
No,
It's
it
like
is.
it's so many different angles. It's getting the invite to do cool shit.
Yeah.
Like random. It's so
and
cool.
doing it and not sitting home and making excuses for it. You have to put yourself in good situations to get good things. I don't know.
Steph, I want to ask you a question. You have such a good context, and you're a good-looking female that lives in San Diego. So this is something that's been on my mind. I haven't shared it with anyone. My challenge is I realize that for me to find the best, or not even the best relationship, like if I'm open to anything in
Right.
the world, right? Like I'm open to the universe. I'm open to a relationship.
Yeah, as you should be.
Fucking marriage, like
Yeah.
kids.
Who knows?
That's not what I'm looking for
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now. But I'm
No.
open to
Yes.
everything,
Yeah.
right? And part of it being, I think what I've learned and what I just shared is like friends, I think, in my opinion, leads to like longer term relationships. I
Yeah.
don't want to get into a relationship for 9 to 12 months. That's
Yeah.
literally coming out of a 6-year relationship
Can I stop
is like
you? Let's
waste of time.
let's not set a 9 to 12 month timeline here.
That was the problem going back.
Okay,
That was the problem
did
going
you
back.
Just
I'm
do
past
this? Like,
that.
Connor, let's just.
I created the problem
No
in the past.
timelines in the world. We
No
have no
timelines.
idea. Like, nothing's promised. You know,
Yep. Time is irrelevant, right? And
it's not even real.
it's not even real.
Yeah.
Exactly. We created
Some
it.
measurement.
So the challenge is when I'm going on dates and I'm meeting people, right? And really cool people. I'd say 1 out of every 4, I'm like, oh, I definitely vibe more than usual with this individual. And I communicate effectively, and I do it from the start. That was something I learned in the past relationship that I didn't do as well as I could have, but I want to set realistic expectations. I do this for our business and why our clients are so happy.
Right.
But it's like, and guys, this is something that I highly recommend, is literally using the words. I want to make sure I'm effectively communicating with you. Just by stating that shows what you're valuing. She's going to be like,
have you read Emotional Intelligence, the book? Because, hello?
Yeah. She
like,
might say something like that.
Can you train every man in the city?
Does every female want that? Because I feel like that's a longing. Maybe it's incorrect.
I long for emotional intelligence over IQ, over anything else.
All right. Hell yeah.
It's like all I want.
Yo, let's... I'm on the same page. I think there's a balance, though, too, because being smart is attractive as fuck.
It is.
But you have to vibe.
But if you're an engineer like my ex and you literally can't have a conversation with me about anything other than what we had for lunch, then I'm falling asleep yesterday.
Yeah, I'm glad you're out of the relationship. And I hope he's happy. He's married. He's probably got
kids. He was in a relationship like a month later and they're still together, so.
That's beautiful.
You know what?
See, do you realize that,
I did him a favor.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. You're doing them a favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we weren't matched.
Yeah. So the problem that I'm dealing with is I'm on these dates, right? And I communicate effectively where I'm at in life, right? I was in a relationship. I'm happy. I'm never been so happy in my life. Yeah. And I know the physical Conor probably looks fairly similar to the Conor a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But the Conor I know and the soul inside me that's like not physical is like levels above. I broke out of a shell coming into January.
Yeah.
The first 3 weeks of
you
January.
You did. I remember seeing you and you're like,
something.
I don't know what it is. I'm just so different than I was like a month ago.
I've never had that feeling. And so I communicate very openly and right from the start. Now, women are not looking for flings. They're not looking like they want commitment. And I get that. I see it. So when I openly communicate, this is where I'm at, it creates challenges and almost like, not tension, depending on how I bring it up, but it's like I want to effectively communicate where I'm at in life, what I value, and kind of where my time's at, but I want to share it. I know what love feels like, and I love it, and I know I can give.
And we seek human connection. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be dating just because you don't want a relationship right now.
So why does it seem like women, though, are very turned off by it? Or like, I'm not going to commit, or like, even if you do it for like a month or so, it's like, hey, the assumption of like we're dating almost happens, and I get it. I see exactly where they're coming from.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure can you help just unpack this?
So I think what you're doing is totally correct. You need to be communicating where you're at. The problem comes when you don't communicate that, and then they think that you're on this journey to become in a relationship right away, and then you aren't communicating that you're not really wanting one right now because you're working on other things. So what you're doing is totally correct. I think it's the women that you're dating, because I agree that for a lot of women, they are looking for that commitment piece, but a lot of women aren't. Like, for example, my friends and I, none of us are really looking for a committed relationship right now. And so there are women out there that have similar personalities as we do, and also just similar timelines and kind of career goals. And like I said, I don't like to set timelines, but I also know like what my heart can give right now and what it can't. So I do think it is just the girls that you have been dating. And I don't think that it's a category, but I think it's just kind of luck of the draw. Like, you've been on dates with girls that are looking for something a little bit more committed. And I think there are plenty of women that really don't want that right now, and that you could share time with and enjoy time with, because at the end of the day, like, even if we're not trying to become in a serious relationship, people need human connection, and like, especially from someone that they're attracted to. Like, I mean, I can say it till I die. Like, I don't want a boyfriend right now, but I'm still gonna probably want to date. Like, I'm a person. I want to date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the girls that you've been on dates with, for sure. And I think you're doing everything right.
What should I look for? Is there something that I should look for that's like subtle that would like show me what kind of?
Where are you meeting these girls?
And fellow, whether it's like Hinge, Instagram. I mean, with COVID, you can't really.
Right.
Like,
no, it's impossible.
Events,
yeah.
So, and then I would just say like in the building, friends of friends.
Okay.
Maybe all of those.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're doing everything right. Like, you diversified your portfolio, if we're going back to finance. So, I mean, you're getting these people from different sources, and I think there really isn't a way to tell, especially because going into a date, you don't know how it's going to go. You don't even know if you're going to connect. And like, you really can't predict anything. Like, there's things about me that probably surprised you after getting to know me. And then there's things about you that surprised me. So I don't think there's anything you can really look for, but just keep doing it. Like, keep dating. Like, it's not a day lost. And people think that it's a waste of time. I have friends that won't date because they don't want to waste their time. And I'm like, how can you know it's a waste of time if you haven't done it? Like, you don't even know. And there's friends that I've met from Hinge or dates that never turned into anything serious that I'm so grateful for, like getting to know you. So it's never a waste to me. If anything, I learned something about myself and what I'm attracted to and what I'm not. And that is the same for them. So it's not a waste. I mean, it's a pandemic. It's good to get out and socialize. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing everything right. Like, I'm not even just stroking your ego. Like, literally what you're doing is what I would tell you to do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
It just doesn't always work. So guys, I think, to me, I'm only trying to come out of an authentic place in love. This is still new to me, right? Like a year ago, this was not the Conor, right?
Yeah.
And so it's taken a lot of work to get to this point and try to understand, okay, getting out of a relationship, it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Getting into the next one, I'm only going to show up.
Yeah.
Like, I think I might be the best boyfriend in the world. I don't know when that time is, and I'm open to
you
whenever
are
that
going to be
timeline
the best
is.
boyfriend in the world.
But it's like legitimately, I really worked on it, and I'm like, getting into the relationship, I didn't know how to feel emotions. It was wild. Like that. I think for a lot of men.
Oh my God, that's why I call it the mandemic. Like,
and
men
why
are like, what is happening?
So much.
I know.
Right? But like, it helps you grow so much.
But only if you're okay with feeling that.
Exactly.
Because that's the problem that we've run into, especially with friends of mine that are dating, and these guys are just shutting them out, not because they don't care for them, but because they really don't know how to feel anymore, and they're afraid to feel. And they've been broken in the past, and they don't want to feel that pain again. And so they're shutting love out of their life.
They're broken in the past. See, I see a lot more of like, I don't think men have just like actually felt love or given enough love to like understand what a relationship can feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of men go through a heartbreaking college from what I've seen. I'm a numbers person, and there's usually one relationship in college that a man, I think, starts having these fantastical visions of like marrying this girl, her being the mother of his children, and I think it ends, and I think that really breaks them, and they don't really know how to deal with those emotions, and they go out and date so soon after instead of taking the time to process like women do. Like, we're gonna sob for like 2 months and just
some women take time
I mean,
to like,
we can't generalize.
Let's regroup.
Yes.
Yeah.
So but it is more common for women to allow themselves to cry and really feel things, and from what I've seen, men struggle a little bit more with that. And so I think that's one of the biggest problems that I'm seeing with dating even now. Like, these men, they have so much potential and they are such great human beings, but they're still so broken over something because they haven't taken the time to heal from it.
You were spot on. And it's scary as hell.
Yeah.
It is scary as hell. Why I can confidently say this now after 9 months, right? And there's still things I'm working on. And again, why I go above and beyond on the outside to like work on it. I want to accelerate healing. And when I started looking into it right off the bat, it was like, the first thing, if you're getting out of a breakup and you want to heal and do it, like, that's the thing. If you get out of a relationship and you felt any degree of love, or if you're feeling sadness, there was some degree of love, right? If you feel heartbroken, there was even more. Now, because of that, you need to heal. You can get into a relationship because that's what's comfortable, right? I'm longing for this physical touch, the love, whatever, the things that I miss, right? I remember waking up and it was like, oh shit, like, you don't have someone next to you.
When you get into something new.
You fill it with a void, but it's never there. And I knew that. And so instead it was just, I almost went like, I don't want to say dormant mode, but I just focused on work. I cut substances out. And that's really the biggest thing that changed it for me.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I'm even willing to give advice, I'm not an expert, but what is interesting is that over the last 3 months, I have had at least 15 close friends or different men, from college friends to anything in between to friends out here, that have all gone through a breakup, and for whatever reason they come to me. And I'm happy to talk to them. And I just want to explain what the phases are like.
You're not afraid of emotions.
I'm a transparent individual.
But
you're right. I worked
you're
with them.
confident in yourself to know that if you're feeling something, it's not inherently bad or good. Like, bad feelings and good feelings are equally as important to live a meaningful life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What would you say is your number one piece of advice? Like, if you do decide I am going to break up with this individual, regardless of quality of relationship or how long it's been, but it's like, what would you say the number one rule is now that it's been broken off? You've told that individual, but like, what is the foundational step for you that you would say for you or females is like, this is how I'm going to move forward?
Yeah. Okay. I would say there is going to be a time where you grieve and you can't rush that process because like you said, if there's grief, that means there was love. You can't have one
And
without
there's a beauty
the
in
other.
that. That's a beauty.
Beautiful. Like I don't want to end my life without grief, because that means there was no love in my life and no fulfillment or anything. So yeah, I mean, there is a grieving process, and I wouldn't say rush that. I wouldn't try to accelerate that. But then there comes a point where after, I would say, like, if you've given yourself a few weeks to grieve, and then it starts just becoming comfortable to where you're just like, I could go to the gym today, but I'm just so used to like doing nothing. Like you have to be cognizant of that. And you also have to be like, okay, scientifically, emotions actually only last 7 seconds, and everything beyond that we're creating in our brains. So like, we definitely like kind of milk things out. And I would say surround yourself with people if you can find anyone. Like if you don't have family or friends, get a therapist, someone that you can talk to. If you are in your head,
I went to a therapist.
Yes,
Helped a ton.
you can't isolate. Like I say, my numbers, like the number one thing that I would advise is do not isolate. Do not, because we need to bounce ideas off people. We need to express freely how we're feeling. Like that is just so important. But I would say, like, let yourself grieve, do not isolate. And then once you give yourself a few weeks time, don't let things become a routine. Try to do anything, like any novelty. Just go on a walk on a different place, get outside if you can, like go to a different gym, go to a different restaurant. Like novelty is so key. Like you don't want to like keep wiring your brain in the same thought pattern, same thought processes. You just need that novelty and freshness in order to like start this new journey, because any end means there's a beginning, right? So it can be a beautiful thing.
It always is. Like, it
yeah.
guarantees it is.
Yeah.
Even when it feels grim.
Even when it feels like the end of the world,
it is. And if you
it's
have
better.
the mindset that you know it's going to get better, I promise you that it gets better a lot faster.
This too shall pass. That's what my dad always says.
Say it again.
This too shall pass. That's
This
like
too shall pass.
whenever I have anxiety, I'm like, yeah, this sucks, but it will pass. Like most things are temporary. So like you said, just knowing that it will get better will help you get better.
Yeah, that's such great feedback. And not only knowing it's temporary, but that the universe and everything in it is just constantly transforming. Transforming meaning it never stays stagnant. It's got to keep moving.
Yes.
It does. The universe continues to grow.
And that's the thing,
infinitely.
is keep momentum. Like that's why I said don't let things become too routine. Like if you let momentum stop in your life, like it's really hard to get going again.
Yeah.
So if you can somehow figure out a way to just keep moving one day at a time.
For me, it was routine. And I'm a very routine. I know you're a very routine person. I mean, we would see each other at the gym at like 4:45 a.m. or 5
Early
a.m.
mornings,
and it's like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're crazy.
It's a Midwest
like this
thing.
morning, I woke up at 5:30 for no reason. It's Saturday, but you know, excited for the day.
For me, went to bed at 1:30, woke up at 5:30.
No, same.
Still,
Last
and
weekend,
ran my
2:30
errands.
to 4:30.
Yeah.
Nice 2 hours.
And now we're here.
Yeah.
You got the workout in. I didn't.
That's good though. If you went to bed
That's
that late, you didn't. That's good.
Yeah,
Balance.
that's literally how I
See,
value
that's
it
balance.
too. Is like
Yeah.
there are times and weeks that things come up,
just
and I'm
not
like,
good
you know
for
what,
you.
this is life.
Yeah.
I gotta sleep today.
It's called balance.
An extra 2 hours.
It's called being happy and living a meaningful life.
Right?
Yeah.
What would you just say in general is your best relationship advice? You know what? Let's do 2 different pieces.
Okay.
First, to women. What's your number one piece of advice, relationship advice, to just women, broad as you can be? Is it something relevant, something that's recently happened, or just high
I
level?
would say this is not to say every woman is like this, but I would say that when women love, we love hard, and we sometimes sacrifice our own parts of our day and things that are important to us to make that date, to go to this guy's function that we want to see, and we don't always prioritize ourselves. And I think it's just because we have that innate like nurturing and emotional abilities. And I do think that sometimes it becomes too much. And then when things don't work out with men, we get overly sad and overly disappointed because we put so many eggs in a basket. And because we love hard, like we're emotional creatures. And so I think if I could give any advice to women, it would be do something that fulfills you, find something that just like build a life you love and build a life you believe in. And then if a man comes along and if it doesn't work out, you won't feel the pain as much if he leaves, because you know that you have you and you're putting everything into yourself and you have this background and foundation set up for you already. So like, I think for women, that's the best advice I can give is just build a life you're proud of and you'll attract the right guy. But for men, I would say, stop trying to make out with me on the first date and get to know me. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, for men, I would say truly, if there is a past relationship or even like something from your past, it could be parents getting divorced. If there's something that you know like eats at you, don't try to get into a relationship right now, and don't put that burden on someone else, because it's probably not going to end in a good way. And do it for yourself. Like, more than any other reason, like, go and heal for yourself. And I think a lot of men have been raised to think they need to be strong and not have these emotions and feel and cry. And it's just so not true. Like, as women, we want that man. A man to me is a man that can cry. Like, a man that can really feel his emotions and be so proud of himself for crying and feeling and expressing them and not just bottling them up, because there's nothing more annoying. Yeah. So if you're a guy, like, don't be afraid to be emotional and introspective and go to therapy. Like, nothing is hotter. Nothing is hotter. But like I said, do it for you over anything else. Don't do it for the women. Do it for you, because you will live such a better life and you will just be so much happier. So yeah, I would say those two things.
Damn, those are really good, right? And I think it all comes back to valuing yourself.
It does. Both of those do.
Becoming a better version.
Both of those
yeah,
do.
That's how I see it.
Prioritize yourself.
Prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
When you do.
Yeah.
And you do it consistently, magically, your life starts to transform.
You'll attract.
It doesn't happen very quick, though. That's the challenge. You have to work on yourself for a while, right?
Nothing good comes quickly, you know?
They say, I mean, the information we consume today, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's reading a book or it's, you know, I'm going to go lay on the couch and decide, okay, I'm going to watch something on TV. There's a little difference between watching something that's entertaining and then educational, right?
Absolutely.
Because the difference between entertainment, there's a time for it, right? To let, you know, to calm down, relax.
Yep.
But you can also fill it with something that's educational, like a documentary or a
right.
podcast. And it's not right for everyone. I get that.
Yeah.
But investing in yourself, right? And what I'm getting here is that what we consume today, information, knowledge, people, is a direct reflection of where we're going to be in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I believe that.
Read a book today. In 5 years, it's going to come out. So it's like, start investing now.
Yeah. and be mindful of your consumption.
I think so too.
Like, is social media affecting you? Is this food making your stomach hurt and then you can't show up and be present at work? Like, just be mindful of your consumption and how it makes you feel.
Yeah. I love this. And I want to open it up because when you showed up today, you thought you were interviewing me on our podcast. I love it. I
literally brought my notebook. I was like, okay, let's write a quick outline here. And he's like all ready to go. And I'm just stressing out. That's so bad.
No, I love it. Is there...
I would like to ask you just 2 things.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So I do a segment on my podcast called Destroyed to Divine, and it's basically you tell me something in your life that was your lowest low. You'd consider it something that you didn't think you would come back from, just kind of like that moment when you do kind of feel hopeless. But then how that moment changed everything for you, made you pivot, and created who you are today. Because I think everyone is either a succumber or an overcomer. And the people that succumb to life circumstances, those people start to retract and like go backwards. But you clearly are doing really well and you're successful. And I know you keep saying you're not successful yet, but you are. So don't even say that. But what would that event be for you? How it got to where you are today?
Yeah, thank you for the question. We're on the track to success. I'm happy. So I guess if we're going to define success by like Earl Nightingale's definition of success.
That's mine, so.
Right?
Yep.
The casual realization of a worthy ideal.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? What does that simply mean? Work on something bigger than you. And as long as you're doing it each day, you could be a janitor. But saying in your mind, you don't view it as I'm the janitor. It's I'm the janitor at, I'm just throwing out a random example, right? The USA Gymnastics facility, right? I'm the janitor here. Or a school. Well, I guess that's a better example. Like, I'm a janitor at an elementary school, but I go into work every day with the mindset that I am keeping this environment clean so that children can effectively learn and grow up and change the world. That's a very different why, right? So to answer your question, there's a few that come to mind. One that obviously just stands out right off the bat. Like, there were a few things, growing up. My grandpa Paulsen passing when I was young, he slipped on ice, and that was tough, right? But really the one that just transformed me and definitely had me feeling not ever helpless, but to the point that I had for the first time in my life, any kind of thought of what would people think if Conor wasn't around? This thought came once. That is the opposite. Anyone that knows me is like, whoa. This was a month after, right?
Yeah.
And I had already started this process. So I was feeling these feelings at an accelerated rate because I wasn't consuming any substances, no alcohol.
Yeah.
No cannabis for a long time. And it was like, sitting there feeling things. And
Yeah.
I was working out twice a day, consuming
Scary.
it because of the
Yeah.
75 hard challenge. But it was like, for the first 2 months, it was such a whirlwind
Yeah.
of emotions that I have never felt.
Yeah.
And it just had me feeling blah. Like,
Yeah.
I am so routine. Routine has saved me. And anytime I felt low, you know what? Shit, it wasn't even the relationship. The relationship was part of it.
Yeah.
But what it actually led to was a 17-day bender that wasn't planned. And this
Oh.
was
You told me
going
about
into
this.
the new year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never talked about this on a podcast, but again, I am so happy with life and the direction, and I know whatever actions I take, like good or bad, I don't regret it. It's
Yeah.
whatever. Like I can be a dumbass, yeah, but we're human. Like, I have fun.
Yeah. No,
Work
you,
hard, play
you
hard.
need to, yes. Yes.
Well, as soon as we got out of the relationship, started like the second half of last year, just was very disciplined, didn't consume alcohol, right? Part of that, you start realizing you don't hang out with a lot of certain friends. You're like, damn, I only hang out with them when I party.
Yep.
And going, this long without it, then this past holiday, right, from Christmas and New Year, they happen to fall on like the perfect dates, right?
Yeah.
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day was Thursday, Friday, and then the next
Yeah,
week
it
was
was-
New Year's Eve, Thursday, New Year's Day, Friday.
Yeah.
So what that meant is I didn't feel an obligation to door knock because you wouldn't be making that much. You
No.
wouldn't earn that much.
No.
And at the time I was going heavy in door knocking because
Yeah.
like money was good and it was
Yeah.
just fun. Well, after this happens, I'm like, okay, well, I have like 17 days. Conor, you need to go travel. You've worked, you've stacked some money, more than you've ever earned. Like, you deserve to go have some fun. And I'm like, okay, what does that look like? And I had a buddy that, also loves to snowboard. He's like, come through. And so I go to Denver and I get a one-way flight because I'm like, you know what? I think I'll be there 4 days, but what if we end up snowboarding more? He had a place on the mountain. And I went. And then I hadn't seen him in 5 years. And so casually, he's like, yo, you want a beer? We're just casually drinking. And then on the mountain, I was like, you know what? Yeah, like I'm around friends. This is a vacation. Like I know my relationship with alcohol now, and I have control of it. I now know that I can stop it at any moment, right?
That's healthy.
I know, yeah. So that was one aspect. Well, then snowboarding, met some new friends. You know me, I'm a social person.
Good things came.
And I met a handful of people, and all of a sudden this 4-day trip turned into 10 days, and the drinking kind of progressed because you meet new friends and like,
Right.
there were certain places open.
We live in a
and
very drinking culture.
drinking culture for sure.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like I didn't even notice it in the moment, but it was just happening. So 10 days later, I fly, maybe like between 8 to 10 days, I fly back to San Diego. It's the day before New Year's Eve, 2 days before. End up partying, we're on a sailboat, like all random shit. None of this is planned. It's all spontaneous, but I'm around friends and like they're also not working because it's in
Right.
between this date where your other business owner friends,
Yeah.
they have time free too, which doesn't happen that often.
Right.
The dates fall for them too. So then naturally they wanted to party too. And 2 days of partying, we're there the day before New Year's Eve, sitting in my buddy Pat's apartment. It was a handful of us guy friends, and we had all, hung out that day. It was like 11:30 at night, and he has a conference table in his room. Like, that's how serious
so
some of
cool.
our friends are. And we're all sitting there, 11:30 at night, and like, what are we gonna do for New Year's? And for me, I'm like, shit, I'm not gonna go into these holidays. Like, I was in Denver for Christmas,
Yeah.
like I had a blast. Coming out of a relationship, I was like, I am not gonna throttle down my life at all. I'm
No.
gonna throttle this shit up.
Yeah.
And that's also what encouraged probably the substances and just
Yeah.
having fun.
Well, it's just,
Yes. Yeah. And I
It's
just caught
just
myself in
being
the
around
filler
with all
word.
those people.
I just used the word shit.
Oh my gosh, I used that like 7,000 times in this podcast, so.
Hey, no
Sorry.
worries. What ended up happening, we decided at 11:30 at night at this conference table, we're going to go to Rosarito, Mexico. We're going to drive across the border, right? It's only 15 minutes that way,
Yeah.
right? We can see Tijuana
Yeah.
from here.
It's close.
Now, they were like, so it happened very fast. We figured out there were 2 suites left. We could get them. We booked them. And what the rule was, everyone go home, sleep, get back here, shower, have your bags packed for a 1-day trip to Mexico. Be showered, be ready, be here at 9:30 a.m. Well, all of us were. And then we went. And one night turned into 4. And at this point, I had been drinking from Denver
Yeah.
to like San Diego. It was like spontaneous shit.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying like every day was a straight bender. Like I was
Right,
still like getting
right.
work and things done in between, but it was definitely a lot more casual
Yeah,
than any other
yeah.
time. And went to Mexico, really let loose. And it hit me right as we were crossing the border. You know what? Since I've been 21 years or older, like of age to drink or consume alcohol, I've never been on a guy's trip in my life.
Yeah.
Like a guy's trip, guy's only trip.
Yeah.
So this is my first. That's a cocktail of
fun.
testosterone.
Yeah.
What happens with that?
Nah, yeah, that's bad.
Really good tequila
Yeah.
for
Really good times.
a really good price. You're paying in pesos. And for anyone that doesn't live in San Diego, tequila is like the go-to for anyone.
That's
you ask
all I
anyone
drink.
what they
Everyone
they
made fun of
drink,
me in Wisconsin because I
Everyone
love
made fun of me in
tequila.
our
I was
city.
like, it's so good, and now
or
everyone
they thought
here.
you were just wild. They're like, why?
No, I know.
Like,
they thought I was
why?
like a crazy partier. I'm like,
Yeah, no, like it tastes good.
I, like,
when you
get the
start
least
experiencing
hungover
good
off of
tequila.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just the most fun because
Yeah.
what they say is
It's not a
tequila
depressant.
is the only liquor base, right? So like whiskey, rum, vodka, gin.
Yeah.
Tequila is the only liquor that's digested as an upper.
Right,
So the way
exactly.
it naturally digests is like you
don't get
feel
tired.
good. Yeah, I love that.
You don't see me sleeping on tequila. Anyway.
Right. Okay. So to bring this full circle, after all this shit, and like in Mexico, there were substances involved,
Right.
and I was really just trying to have like I
Live
knew
a
that I was
normal-
going back to this I was going back to January 3rd, and January 3rd will always hit me because that was the first Monday of the new year. I am goal oriented as fuck. I
Yeah.
always have plans, and I am excited for this new year because I've pre-sold so many clients.
Yeah.
And I know that the first day is like, let's collect.
Yeah.
This is a big month. This is the momentum that we carry throughout the whole year. Well, I get back. It wasn't one night there. It turned into 4 nights.
Yeah.
And it was just intense. Party,
Yeah.
nonstop. It was a blast. I don't regret any of it. The friends, the memories I don't remember.
Yeah.
That we don't remember, right? It wasn't just me. It was all of us. It was this collective that
Only
just kept
Conor
beating
blacked
each
out.
other. And we get back. We drive back. It's Sunday, the day before.
Yeah.
So January 2nd, right?
Oh yeah.
That was not my plan at all. I knew that I wanted like 2 or 3 days of prep coming into this new
Yeah.
year. Like I do this on Sundays. Anyone that knows me close, like you can't get in touch with me really on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Like it's religious. I get ready for the week. I usually lay pretty low. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to talk to people because I do that every day of my life,
Yeah.
all the time it seems like. And I came back, Steph, and it was like 4 p.m. when I got home in my apartment. And not only was I exhausted, half of my luggage wasn't even like packed. Like a friend packed it for whatever reason. I don't even remember why. And I get into my apartment and I lay down and I'm in bed and I'm shaking. I'm literally like,
Hangover shakes.
no. I mean, it's like multiplied, right?
Oh,
there were like multiple levels
anxiety
to
attack
it.
shakes.
That, and I think you can feel I know you can feel lower lows when you're not only drinking for that long.
Oh yeah. I drink
Again,
one
coming
day
from
and I
not
feel like I'm
drinking
mentally
for so
off
long,
of my.
It
yeah.
shocked my system. Like
Yeah.
it was not used to alcohol. Then it was like, and just having fun, right?
Yeah.
The way San Diegans have fun, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into detail.
Yeah.
A mix of that left me feeling lower than just alcohol. It had me feeling, the analogy will be, let's imagine mountains, huge. We're looking at Mount Everest. So in these mountains, there's a humongous valley, right? In between Nepal and Tibet, right? Mount Everest. In this humongous valley, you look at the bottom and there's another crevice and it just keeps going down. Now, Steph, you're standing at the top of this mountain, you're looking down in this black abyss and you're like, hello? And you wait.
So
And
you
it's
were
like
that
10
low.
seconds later and
Yeah.
it's like, like I
Oh,
say this.
Conor.
The thing is it was me, all my fault. And I knew this, right?
I
The
mean,
only
yeah.
reason I didn't go to the hospital or something, because I was just ridiculously dehydrated. And I mean, I was
Your
consuming
body
water.
was so used to having alcohol.
I mean,
in
no
its
sleep
system.
for a long
Yeah.
time. And like the alcohol definitely shocked it. And I was in this place. I was literally did not get out of bed for 2 days. So I go
So
into January
scary.
3rd, could not even get out of bed.
Oh my god.
That's wild, right?
Yeah.
That's wild. Now, I say all of this and why I can openly talk about it and like I'm so happy is all of this had to happen. And I think the relationship behind it was also fueling probably a little bit of it. Like I had healed from it, but I know there's always going to be a piece there.
Yeah.
And I think that piece was still there. This had me feel the lowest I've ever felt in my life.
Right.
Even more than I think the average human can feel because there were substances involved.
Oh yeah.
I am
Yeah.
happy that it was.
Yeah.
Because these 2 days of shaking, I didn't even leave my apartment. That
Yeah.
like never happens, right?
Yeah.
Blinds down. I
Yeah, that's
couldn't like
crazy.
sleep. I was like in and out. And this was me. When it was at its most intense periods, any other human would have gone to the hospital for the most part. But
Yeah.
because I've practiced meditation and breathing techniques
Holy
so long, I was controlling my heart
would've
rate.
been freaking
And it
out.
was like, oh yeah, anyone with anxiety would have like,
I would have
you would have like
literally
probably
been
been having
on
a heart
the
attack.
Xanax, yeah.
And I just reminded myself like, all right, CP, you did this yourself. Like, all right, this is all realistic. You're feeling human
It's
emotions.
temporary.
This is the pain. You put yourself in here. Like, this is no one to blame. You had fun. I was
Yeah.
embarrassed at this point. I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I had so much fun, right? But I was
Yeah.
like, I'm never going on a guy's trip again. I don't like Mexico that much.
I know.
I'm never drinking again.
Oh yeah, that always
I'm
happens.
embarrassed because
Yeah.
who did I meet that I don't remember and they're going to come into my life and they're like,
That's
Conor, good to
just
see you.
a story.
I agree,
Yeah.
right? But this is what's going through my head. I
Right.
want to share internal and external variables because
Right.
I want people to feel how low it can feel.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And they see me
It's
on the
bad.
outside and they don't know the things that I probably felt, right?
Experienced,
But
yeah.
this happened pretty recently, right? We're going
Yeah.
to say 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
What happened after?
Yeah.
Well, the only way I pulled myself out of this dark, deep abyss inside the mountain, inside the valley, inside the crevice was one step.
Climbing.
And what I knew in my mind was I need to get back to my routine.
Yeah.
When I'm in routine, and that means waking up at 4:45 or
comforting.
4:15, right? At the gym by 4:45, like cold showers, eating my oatmeal, like doing this. That's when I know Conor's happy, and I'm happy because I know I'm growing, right? I'm
Right.
investing in the future Conor.
Right. And it's comforting. Routine
It's
is so
comforting.
comforting. Like
It
when
is.
everything else seems out of control and unpredictable, like that's why routine is a blessing, because it's like I know that I'm going to be at the gym at this time and eating my oatmeal at 6:00. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that it's for everyone, but I can see how that brought you peace
So
after that.
all of this happened. I fought so hard to get back. Like I've never had to fight like this.
Yeah.
Like
But now you know
there
you
was
can.
so many. Well, what happened next blew my mind, right? When I tell you that some version of me, I broke out of a shell, I had to hit that low, and it showed me this side of life that I had never felt. And it showed me like, damn, people in this world feel this consistently, and
Makes
they
you
don't know
have
how to get out.
compassion. It makes you have compassion.
Compassion. And then it was like, holy shit, CP, you've always done well. Good to get up to this
Yeah.
point. You don't want to get here again.
Yeah.
And it gave me contrast. It
Yeah.
gave me this. It is literally what helped me break free of like this past. Now,
Right.
the next level, and this goes into like this sub story, and this is how I broke free of the past relationship and my future. So when I got out of this 5.5 year relationship, within like 2 weeks, this girl, I don't want to say any geographic location
Right.
or give context, she like sniped me. She
Okay.
was smart. And this might be true, might not be. She swooped in right after like 10 days. And it wasn't even like it was official, right? Like it's not like back in the day where it's like on Facebook you see they are not in a relationship
Yeah.
anymore. It's like, oh, it's official.
Yeah.
No, none of that shit was happening,
Yeah.
right? Women have this secret PI. I think every female for the most part has this like little PI inside that they can just like they can
Oh,
read things
so
on
good.
social that a guy is like, oh yeah, no, whatever.
Yeah.
yeah. And they're like, I know exactly what's
Yeah.
happening. I know exactly where he's at. She wore that outfit last week.
No, seriously, we're
right.
Yeah.
And she swooped in, and that helped me to some degree. It was a crutch getting out of a relationship because I had this person, but it
Yes.
wasn't in San Diego, which
Right.
almost it was nice because I had someone to talk to.
Yes.
To talk, and she gave
And then you
really
didn't have to like
sound
hang
advice.
out with them every night on school nights.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It felt like that.
But, yeah.
It felt like that for real. Like
Yeah.
I traditionally am not a person that's going to be on calls like through the night. I have some
No,
buddies that are
same.
like, I fell asleep on a call and I woke up this morning. We're still on the phone. I'm like, dude,
No, I'm too
I
psychotic.
care way too much
I wanna
about
be
my
like,
sleep. and
Yeah,
I
phone in
would
the other
not
side
be
of the
doing
room
that.
at 8:30 p.m. Goodbye.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she was the crutch. I would consider her as like this future potential relationship. I didn't want a relationship. I knew that, but I had this future
you knew
girl,
there's potential.
and so I had a crutch forward.
Right.
Right. But then behind me, I had the ex.
Yeah.
And I was in this middle, and it was nice because I had someone to like lean on when I was
Right.
going through this shit, because I knew I was healing and
Yeah.
I wasn't consuming substances or anything.
Right,
And this
right.
individual also was doing the 75 hard challenge with me.
Oh,
so it was like
perfect.
win-win. We had
Yeah.
like we were on
Yeah.
the same page. And now we're gonna fast forward to like what I just explained.
'Kay.
Deepest lows. Got out of the crevice.
Yep.
2 weeks later, I'm out door knocking, right? And I am at this point. I haven't talked to the ex. I've had her blocked. Like, and I told we're on good terms. Like, there's no hate. There was no dirty or nasty breakup. There wasn't a reason to. It wasn't like he or she cheated on each other, right? Like you said earlier, that can almost be a challenge in ways. It was
Oh,
just
it's
we knew
harder.
we grew apart. It was
Yeah.
out of love. We went our own ways, and I'm grateful for that. Like, she made me a better person. I hope the best for her, right? Like, I genuinely do. I hope she's happy.
Right.
She deserves it. I am fucking excited for my life, and I see
Yeah.
what's happening. Well, I'm door knocking, and I'm helping a customer at their door. And I'm like, this is the thing where you get paid, right? You're knocking on a bunch of doors to hopefully get 3 or 5 of these
Yeah.
each day. And I'm actually helping. And all of a sudden, again, haven't talked to her in like 2 or 3 months plus. and I'm like showing the phone. All of a sudden, this FaceTime video notification comes in, and like it doesn't even like. It takes like 2 seconds for me to even realize this is the ex. It's not a phone call. It's a FaceTime video.
Yeah.
It takes like 3 seconds. The thing is, Steph, when I comprehended who it was, I had this feeling in my body, right? And it was this vibration, and I felt it from my arms, through my chest, and my legs. And like just thinking about it right now, I can feel it again. And it was this vibration that wasn't good. Like it wasn't a good feeling.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And that's something that later it showed me like, damn, Conor, you're doing the right thing. Just keep fucking moving forward.
Yeah.
And so anyway, help the customer. And I'm like, what the hell? Like when you end a relationship, I think it's probably common, or maybe I'm different. You think, what's the first interaction going to be like with my ex?
Yeah.
Right? Like, am I going to see them in a grocery store with another person?
Yeah.
Are they going to be, is it going to be an engagement notification? Like, who cares, right? But you usually, our mind likes to think worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And so the fact that this was it, I was like, okay, I call her back, like, are you good?
Yeah.
And she's like hysterically crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, slow down. Like, are you good? Like, I can't understand you right now. And anyway, long story short, we get off this call. And luckily, like, everything was good. I was able to help her. I go sit in the car for a second, right after. And I didn't realize what just really happened. And I sit in the car, and I look in the rearview mirror. And I look at myself. And I am just smiling cheek to cheek. Like, it is a smile I haven't seen in myself in, like, years. This is, like, back to, like, when I'm a kid. And I just start, like, laughing a little bit. And I'm talking to myself again. This is CP talk, right? And I'm like, damn. I just immediately was this feeling of, like, love for myself. And, damn, I just handle myself so well. I have no emotional attachment. Like, holy shit. In my mind,
like
I'm like, I created it. It's almost like alcohol. When you go 7 to 10 days without alcohol, it becomes exponentially easier because you're like, damn, it wasn't that hard.
No, yeah.
Right?
Like
I think it's like that too. And when you come into that interaction, it's like, it showed me that I had worked so hard. And I was like, damn.
Day.
So it started in my visual that I'm going to give is like this past was like detached.
Yeah.
Right? So this past, it allowed me to move forward. This is the wild shit. Same fucking day. I had just been knocking. So I sit in the car. This happens. I'm only sitting there, like, kind of happy, looking in the mirror, like, for like 3 minutes, like, just happy, like, holy shit,
like,
CP, like,
look at what I did.
You thought about this way too much, and it happened, and like, you're emotionally sound.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna point fingers at anything. Like, I hope everyone's happy. And I go back out to knock. 55 minutes later, it was no more than an hour. I look down at my phone. I get I see I got a text. And it's the girl of the future that I'm just giving in this example, right? That lives in the other city that kind of came in right after. And it's this Bible verse text. Not Bible verse, but like it's a chapter book text.
Right.
And I know. And so I'm not even reading it yet. I'm just like, oh, okay. I know that if I get those types of texts, it's going to be some kind of like, all right, she really wants to explain something. She was someone that didn't want to send audio messages, right?
Happening.
And she's like, hey, I just want you to know, like, I'm pursuing this other individual. I know we've spent so much time over the last, 3 or 4 months, like, hanging out. And she wanted a relationship the whole time. Yeah. And I told her from the start, and she's completely understanding. Right. I have no doubt that she will continue to be a friend and someone close to me in life. Yeah. And the wild thing is, Steph, is I completely understood everything. Like, it wasn't in any way. I was like, no, this isn't incorrect. There were parts of it that I was like, that hurts, but it's true. Right. And it's like, Conor, that you did do that.
Hurts
this is
that
you.
means you cared about her.
Right.
It's not gonna.
I go back to the car, and I start crying hysterically, like laughing. Like I've never cried like this, laughing. Yeah. And when I look at the mirror at this point, I think this is like that first version. I didn't know why I was so happy. I had literally just broken out of this shell. I, for the first time, didn't have a crutch. What I realized then is I've always kind of had women in my life to have a crutch, and for the first time, I didn't.
Same.
And this is when fucking life transformed. I share all of this in detail because I had to feel the lowest lows, and I've never shared this with anyone. I want to do it, and I hope that maybe it relates to someone. Maybe it doesn't, and maybe it will in the future if you remember this. Yeah. But goddamn, now I can attract things that are effortless. Like I'm not putting time in because I did this work. So sorry to take over for a second, but I get passionate about this because I've done so much reflection about this, and I think people on the outside don't understand what type of internal work happened. Right. For anyone listening, I'm giving you like exactly what happened. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't. Was it worth it? I can't imagine a life without it, right? And when you went back to, you're either when adversity comes, you're either gonna fight it and go, this is minor shit in life.
Or you're going to be
no
like, the
matter
world
what,
hates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get over this or not. So
Yeah, that's
that
beautiful.
is my long-winded answer.
And you're absolutely right.
I'm glad I get to share that with you.
No, I loved the story, and I feel like you need to experience those lows because it's like the stock market. Without lows, there's no highs. So everything balances out in life. Reversion to the mean, as I always say. But that's a beautiful story, and I feel like it was a spiritual awakening for you almost. So
It was. There's a different version. I might look the same, but
not in here.
There's
Not where
something-
it
there's
matters.
something different.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on, Steph. You are
Thank you
awesome.
for having me. This
You
was
are
awesome.
incredible. I recommend to anyone, definitely go subscribe to the Plan D podcast. You get these types of conversations every single week. And where can people get in contact with you? How can they connect?
At Steph Teagan, it's STEPHTAGAN. And then also, can you pimp out your podcast in case I steal this audio and put it on mine?
Yeah, make sure you stay tuned to the Social Seller podcast, right? Again, what is the Social Seller? It goes beyond sales. It's being a high quality human. It is living a congruent life. Just like Steph, you don't work in sales, but you sell yourself and you've sold a better life to yourself and you've created it firsthand, right? And these are the conversations we have. Now, every Tuesday, the new episode drops on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is free value-based content, and we would greatly appreciate more feedback. Thank you so much. We see more and more feedback every episode we put out, along with the educational content, free value content we're putting out every single week, anywhere from 4 to 6 videos. That is for you, and we'll see you on the inside. Thanks again, Steph.
Thanks for having
You're
me.
awesome.